I never believed in ghosts. I mean, come on, we're in the 21st century. Science, logic, reason, that's what I trusted. But then I moved into this house, this old, creaky house in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. And everything I thought I knew, everything I believed in, just shattered. It started subtly. A floorboard groaning upstairs when I was downstairs. A tap dripping in the kitchen sink that I knew I had tightened just an hour before. The kinds of things you dismiss, right? The house is old. It's settling. The plumbing is ancient. Perfectly normal explanations. That's what I told myself, over and over again. My friends would visit and say the place had character, that the noises gave it a certain charm. I'd laugh along, pretending to agree, but deep down, a seed of unease was planting itself. The first few nights were just noisy, creaks, groans, a soft thud here and there. I'd lie in bed, my heart thumping a little faster than usual, and I'd blame it on the wind, the trees outside. Anything but what it really felt like. It felt like the house was breathing. Inhale, a long low groan from the walls. Exhale, a sigh from the floorboards. It was rhythmic almost, and that's what started to get to me. The sounds weren't random. They had a pattern. Then, about a week in, it changed. The sounds started to sound less like a house settling and more like something else. It was like someone was trying to speak, but they didn't know how. It was a jumble of sounds. A low rumble from the basement, followed by a sharp crack from the attic. A hissing from the pipes that sounded like a drawn-out S sound. It was bizarre. I started sleeping with the lights on. He came over, spent an hour tapping on pipes and listening to the walls. He just shrugged and said, "Son, it's an old house. The pipes sing their own song. Nothing to worry about." He charged me $100 for that piece of wisdom, but the sounds didn't stop. They got more defined. It was the fourth night after the plumber's visit. I was lying in bed trying to read, but I couldn't focus. The house was at it again. This time, the sounds were different. It wasn't just a creak or a groan. It was more articulate. It sounded like letters. A long, groaning sound like an M, and a sharp, airy sound like an A. Then a rattling in the vents that sounded almost like a T. "My name is Matt." I sat bolt upright in bed, my blood running cold. No, it couldn't be. It was just a coincidence. My tired brain was playing tricks on me, connecting random noises into something familiar. I told myself to calm down, to breathe. It's just the house. It's just the pipes. I lay back down, pulling the covers up to my chin like a little kid. The next night, it happened again. The same sequence of sounds, but clearer this time. The M was a deeper, more resonant hum from the furnace in the basement. The A was a sharp rap on the window pane, like a branch tapping, but there were no trees near that window. The T's were a series of quick, deliberate creaks on the staircase, one after the other. It was getting closer. It was practicing. I didn't sleep at all that night. I just sat there, listening, as the house mumbled and stuttered its way through my name, Emma TT, over and over. Each time a little more fluent, a little less like a house, and a little more like a voice. It was like a child learning to speak, stumbling over the phonetics, but determined. I thought I was going insane. I recorded it on my phone, but when I played it back, all I could hear was the normal hum of the house and the wind outside. It was only for me. I know. How crazy does that sound? The dispatcher was polite but clearly thought I was a prank caller or drunk. They sent a car out. Anyway, 2 young officers walked through the house, flashlights bobbing in the dark. They checked the windows, the doors, the basement. They found nothing. Everything seemed secure. "Sir," one of them said, giving me a look that was a mixture of pity and suspicion. "You know, old houses make a lot of noise. You get used to it." I didn't get used to it. The opposite happened. The sounds became my world. During the day, the house was silent, deceptively peaceful. But as soon as the sun went down, the lessons would begin. It was on the 10th night. I was huddled on the couch in the living room, a baseball bat in my hands, every light in the house blazing. I hadn't slept in what felt like days. My eyes were burning. My hands were shaking. The first sound was the furnace kicking on in the basement. The low, familiar hum. Then, a shudder ran through the floorboards, a vibrating, open-throated sound, AIA. Then, from right behind me, from the wall itself, 2 quick, sharp taps. TT. It was perfect. It was no longer a collection of house noises. It was a voice, a dry, raspy, ancient voice that seemed to come from the very bones of the building. "Matt." It was a whisper, but it filled the entire room. It was soft, but it hit me like a physical blow. The air grew cold, and the hairs on my arms stood straight up. I froze, my heart hammering against my ribs so hard I thought it would break through. The house had been practicing my name every single night, and now, it had finally said it out loud. I didn't scream, I couldn't. The sound was trapped in my throat. I just sat there, paralyzed, staring into the shadows of the room. The voice didn't speak again. It didn't have to. The silence that followed was worse than any noise. It was a heavy, expectant silence. It was the silence of something that had just introduced itself and was now waiting for me to reply. I don't know how long I sat there. It could have been minutes. It could have been hours. Finally, I managed to move. I scrambled to my feet, dropping the bat with a clatter that seemed deafening in the stillness. I didn't grab my keys, my wallet, or my phone. I just ran. I threw open the front door and sprinted out into the cold night air, not stopping until the house was just a dark silhouette against the moonlit sky. I never went back. I left everything behind. Some things, you just don't try to explain. You just run, and you never, ever look back. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've ever had a creepy experience in an old house, let me know in the comments below. And if you want to hear more unsettling tales, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Stay safe out there.